They ignored the will, declared the Iceni kingdom their property, and moved to seize everything. Roman officials, greedy and arrogant, descended upon the tribe. They plundered the wealth of the nobility, treated the people like slaves, and stripped the land of its resources. When Boudica, the widowed queen, dared to protest this injustice, the Roman response was brutal and designed to humiliate. She was publicly flogged, a punishment reserved for the lowest of criminals, and in an act of unspeakable cruelty, her young daughters were violated by Roman soldiers. This was more than an insult. It was a declaration of war. The Romans believed they had broken the spirit of the Iceni. Instead, they had ignited a firestorm. The personal agony of a queen became the rallying cry for a nation. Word of the atrocities spread like wildfire through the forests and hills of Britain. Boudica, her body scarred but her spirit unbroken, emerged not as a grieving widow, but as a formidable leader. Imagine the scene. A tall, imposing figure with a torrent of fiery red hair cascading down her back, her voice harsh from grief and rage, ringing out across a gathering of thousands of warriors. Standing atop her war chariot, a spear in hand, she wasn't just a queen anymore. She was the living embodiment of vengeance. She spoke of Roman arrogance, of broken promises, of the chains they sought to place on every free Brit. She reminded them of their stolen lands, their lost freedoms, and the ultimate humiliation inflicted upon her and her daughters. Her fury was contagious. Ancient rivalries were forgotten as neighboring tribes, like the Trinovantes, who had their own grievances against Rome, flocked to her banner. An army was born. A massive Celtic horde, united by a single purpose: to drive the Romans from their land, to burn their world to the ground. Their first target was the symbol of Roman power in Britain, Camulodunum. Today, the city of Colchester. It was a colony for retired Roman soldiers, a city built on land stolen from the Trino. It was filled with Roman arrogance, complete with a grand temple dedicated to the Emperor Claudius, the man who had conquered them. Boudica's army descended upon the city with a speed and ferocity that caught the Romans completely off guard. The veterans, overconfident and unprepared, were no match for the tidal wave of Celtic fury. The city was overrun in a matter of hours. The Roman defenders made a last stand in the temple, holding out for 2 days before they were overwhelmed. Boudica showed no mercy. The entire city was sacked, plundered, and burned to ash. Every man, woman, and child who could not escape was cut down. This wasn't just a battle. It was an act of extermination. The message was clear. Rome's presence in Britain would be met with utter annihilation. News of the fall of Camulodunum sent shockwaves through the Roman province. At the time, the Roman governor, Gaius Suetonius Paulinus, was hundreds of miles away, campaigning on the island of Anglesey in modern-day Wales, wiping out a stronghold of Druids, the spiritual leaders of the Celts. As he marched his legions back east, the rebellion continued its rampage. Boudica's next target was Londinium, a bustling commercial hub that we now know as London. It was a relatively new city, but it was growing fast, a testament to Roman trade and enterprise. As Boudica's massive army approached, panic gripped the city. Defending Londinium was impossible. It had no walls, and he was hopelessly outnumbered. He made the cold, calculated decision to sacrifice the city to save his army and the province itself. He abandoned Londinium to its fate, taking with him anyone who could keep up. Those who were left behind, the old, the young, the slow-faced, the same horror that had befallen Camulodunum. The city was burned, and its inhabitants were massacred without distinction. Roman historians like Tacitus paint a grim picture of streets running with blood as Boudica's forces exacted their revenge. From Londinium, the warpath led to Verulamium, near modern Sin, another major Roman town, another symbol of their occupation. And it too suffered the same fate. Sacked, burned, and its people slaughtered in a terrifyingly short span of time. Boudica's rebellion had laid waste to the three most important Roman centers in Britain. Archaeologists today can still find the evidence, a thick red layer of burnt debris and ash beneath these modern cities. A silent testament to the Queen fiery vengeance. The Roman historian Cassius Dio claims that as many as 80,000 Roman citizens and their allies were killed in the uprising. The province of Bithynia was on the brink of collapse. For the first time, officials in Rome seriously considered abandoning the island altogether. The fury of one woman had brought the mighty empire to its knees. But Rome did not become the world's greatest power by running from a fight. Governor Suetonius Paulinus, though forced to sacrifice cities, had preserved the core of his military strength. His legions, he gathered his forces, the 14th Legion, parts of the 20th, and any available auxiliaries he could find. In total, he had about 10,000 professional, battle-hardened soldiers. He was still massively outnumbered. Boudica's army is said to have swelled to over 200,000, though this is likely an exaggeration by Roman historians. Nevertheless, the Celts had a staggering numerical advantage. Suetonius knew he couldn't win a straight-up brawl. He needed to choose his ground carefully. He found the perfect spot, a narrow valley or defile with a forest to his back, preventing any surprise attacks from the rear. The sloping sides of the valley would protect his flanks, forcing the massive Celtic army to attack him head-on into a narrow front. This would negate their numerical superiority and allow his disciplined legionaries to fight on their own terms. Their families had come to watch what they believed would be a final, glorious victory. It was a fatal mistake. As the two armies faced each other, the contrast was stark. On one side, the disciplined, silent ranks of Roman legionaries, clad in steel armor, their shields locked together in an impenetrable wall. On the other, a vast, screaming horde of Celtic warriors, painted and armed with long swords and spears. Their confidence soaring, Boudica herself rode her chariot up and down the lines, her daughters beside her, delivering a final, impassioned speech, urging her warriors to fight for freedom or die. Then, the battle began. The Britons charged forward in a massive, disorganized wave, screaming their war cries. The Romans stood firm, holding their ground until the last possible moment. On Suetonius's command, they unleashed a volley of heavy throwing spears. Called pila, which punched through the Celts' shields and bodies, causing chaos and confusion in their ranks. Then, the Romans advanced in a tight wedge formation, a disciplined machine of death pushing into the disorganized mob. The Roman short stabbing sword, the gladius, was far more effective in the tight press of Boudica than the Celts' long slashing swords. The battle turned into a slaughter. The Britons in the front lines couldn't fight effectively, and those in the back just kept pushing forward, creating a deadly crush. Unable to break the Roman lines, they finally broke and tried to flee. But their escape was blocked by their own wagons and families. Trapped and panicked, the Celtic army was annihilated. The Romans showed no more mercy than Boudica had. They killed everyone: warriors, women, children, even the animals. The rebellion was over. What happened to Boudica? No one knows for sure. The Roman historian Tacitus claims she escaped the battlefield and, rather than face the humiliation of being paraded through the streets of Rome in a triumph, she took poison, choosing to die a free queen. Her body was never found. Her story, however, was just beginning. Though her rebellion was crushed, Boudica's legacy endured. She became a powerful symbol of resistance, a figure of freedom against tyranny. For centuries, she was largely forgotten, a footnote in Roman histories, but she was rediscovered during the reign of another powerful queen, Elizabeth I, and later became an icon of the British Empire, ironically co-opted as a symbol of British strength and defiance. Today, her statue stands proudly in London, near the Houses of Parliament, on the banks of the Thames, a stone's throw from the city she once burned to the ground. She is a permanent reminder that even the greatest empires can be shaken by the courage of those who refuse to be broken. Her fire was a warning that even Rome could not entirely extinguish. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next journey into the past. Let us know in the comments which historical figure you'd like to see us cover next. Until then, stay curious.